doubted his own eyes. It wasn't clear, more like a silhouette formed from shadows, an indistinct shape that seemed to waver and shift. But it was definitely there, a presence that sent chills down his spine. In him, it was an instinctual response, a gut feeling that something was not right. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and he felt a chill run down his spine. He paused in front of the restroom mirrors, the dim lighting casting eerie shadows across the tiled floor. He needed a moment to collect himself, to gather his thoughts that seemed to be scattered in the wind. Taking a deep breath, he raised his hand to smooth down his hair, and that's when he saw it. A flicker of movement caught his eye. In the reflection, standing just behind him, was a figure. It was so sudden, so unexpected, that he almost doubted his own eyes. It wasn't clear, more like a silhouette formed from shadows, an indistinct shape that seemed to waver and shift. But it was definitely there, a presence that sent chills down his spine. Tall and thin, with long, spidery limbs that seemed to stretch unnaturally. It had no discernible features, just a void where its face should have been, an emptiness that was more terrifying than any grotesque visage. Elliot whirled around, heart pounding in his chest, but there was nothing there. The restroom was empty, silent, except for the faint hum of the fluorescent lights. He spun back to the mirror, but the figure was gone, vanished as if it had never been there. He stared at his reflection, his face pale and drawn in the harsh fluorescent light, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what he'd just seen. Had he imagined it? Was it a trick of the light or something more sinister? Was the stress of the job finally getting to him? The long hours, the endless pressure, were they playing tricks on his mind? Or was there something else in the mall with him? Something sinister, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? He didn't wait to find out. He had to get out of there. He broke into a run, his footsteps echoing loudly in the silence. He could feel his heart pounding in his ears. His breath came in ragged gasps. He risked a glance over his shoulder. Nothing, but he could sense it, whatever it was. It was close, hunting him. He raced down the corridors, his mind screaming at him to go faster. He could feel the icy breath of the unknown on the back of his neck. The mall, once familiar, was now a terrifying labyrinth, its shadows stretching out like grasping claws. He had to get help, had to reach the security office. There was a phone there. He could call for backup, call the police, call anyone. He burst through the doors of the security office, slamming them shut behind him. He fumbled with the lock, his hands shaking so badly he could barely get a grip. He finally managed to secure the door, leaning against it, gasping for breath. He was safe. For now. He stumbled to the desk, knocking over a half-eaten bag of chips in his haste. He grabbed the phone and started to dial 911, but the line went dead. He slammed the receiver down and tried again, but with the same result. The phone lines were cut. He was trapped. He spun around at the sound of a soft scratching coming from the air vent above him. The metal grating was being pushed aside, bending under an unseen weight. Two glowing red eyes materialized in the darkness of the vent. The first rays of dawn filtered through the skylights of the mall, casting long shadows across the empty corridors. The morning cleaning crew, used to the stillness of the building before the shoppers arrived, were surprised to find the security office door ajar. They called out for Elliot, but there was no answer. The security footage from that night was corrupted, showing only static from the point Elliot ran into the security office. The only evidence that he had been there at all was his abandoned thermos, still half full of cold coffee, and the overturned bag of chips on the floor. Elliot was gone. Vanished without a trace. The disappearance of Elliot sent shockwaves through the small community that frequented Southridge Mall. Rumors began to spread like wildfire. Stories of strange noises at night, of shadowy figures lurking in the reflections of shop windows. The cleaning crew reported feeling uneasy, like they were being watched, and swore they heard whispers coming from the empty food court late at night. A few brave teenagers, emboldened by a dare and too much sugar, tried to spend the night in the mall, hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural. They returned with tales of cold spots, disembodied voices, and the feeling of unseen eyes watching their every move. Southridge Mall, once a bustling hub of activity, slowly began to decline. Shoppers, unnerved by the stories, took their business elsewhere. Stores began to close one by one, unable to sustain themselves on the dwindling clientele. The cheerful music that once played through the speakers was replaced with an eerie silence, punctuated only by the hum of the remaining fluorescent lights. The mall, once a symbol of commerce and community, had become a ghost of its former self. A place where shadows danced in the corners of your eyes and whispers followed you down empty corridors. A place where the line between reality and nightmare blurred with the setting sun. No one knows for sure what happened to Elliot that night. Some say he was the victim of a random act of violence, his disappearance conveniently blamed on the supernatural. Others believe he was driven mad by the isolation of the night shift, his mind playing tricks on him in the echoing silence. But the true believers, the ones who felt the shift in the atmosphere of the mall, they knew the truth. They knew that Elliot had stumbled upon something ancient and evil lurking in the shadows of Southridge Mall, something that claimed him, body and soul, leaving only whispers and rumors in its wake. And they knew that Southridge Mall would never be just a mall again. It was a haunted place, forever marked by the disappearance of Elliot, the night watchman.